Welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 11-game slate, which does feature cores. You know, we know that drill already, so we're going to want some exposure.
Yes, and also Tyler Skaggs is on this slate, so you know what that means.
Yeah, you're not happy. That's what it means.
It's going to be your hair's going to be on fire by the end. That's what it means.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, jump into the first game here. You have the Orioles taking on the Yankees. Kevin Gausman versus CC Sabathia. As far as the Yankees go, I'm not a big fan of their offense here tonight, especially the left-handers. Gausman is tough on lefties. He is better at home. But I'm not going to rule off Gary Sanchez or Castro, the two righties that I think do have the most upside on that team. I think they're more GPP plays than cash.
GPP than cash, but I'm not afraid of using them, especially Gary Sanchez. I mean, he was going to regress off, what he was doing every day, but that upside's still there. So I like him. But more interested in the Orioles side of things here. Obviously, Sabathia been pitching well, but I'm okay with Trumbo and Adam Jones especially here.
I am too. I mean, you look at CC. 1.42 home runs per nine to righties since last year. Obviously, he has pitched better this season. He has, been all right against the Orioles. He's had their number. But yeah, still rolling around for the fourth or fifth time. I like Jones. I like Pierce. I like Trumbo's price tag. I think they're reasonable shots. Even a Jonathan Scope at 3,700, I think is an okay option. So I definitely don't mind them. As far as using one of them in value for cash, I'm okay with that. I probably wouldn't be using more than two, though.
Absolutely. So, definitely.
Braves and Phillies next here. Vince Velasquez versus John Gant. Sorry, no 2K Phillies guys like yesterday, even though they didn't accumulate much. I still don't mind him in a tournament fashion here in terms of value, just because you look at Gant. He hasn't really shown anything that scares me away from even a Phillies offense. So I think they're okay, kind of GPP swerves.
Yeah, interesting in a GPP, but overall, probably not going to get much exposure. I don't know how much of a ceiling this Phillies lineup has tonight, even with Gant on the hill. So yeah, Michael Franco, Shero, Dubo Herrera. I don't mind that price even, but overall, meh.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And on the Braves side, I like Freddie Freeman here. I don't like Inciarte at 5K. I think Freeman's an interesting GPP swerve off of some other guys at better prices because the matchup isn't perfect, but obviously Velasquez has shown some struggles against lefties.
Certainly. So, yeah, Inciarte, Freeman, Markakis. Overall, though, again, this game overall, I don't see the upside we're going to need, especially with a core slate,
Yeah, I definitely agree. Pirates and Brewers here next. Ivan Nova versus Jimmy Nelson. In terms of the Brewers, I like their prices better here. I'm still not a big fan of the matchup. Jonathan Villar is probably the only one who I do like here just because he gives you that stolen base upside and kind of gives you a little bit of a better floor than Braun, who's kind of slowed down of late.
Yeah, I'm not in on the Brewers tonight. Scooter Gannett, 2,900, but Nova's been pitching so well of late. I guess you could take a shot on Chris Carter in a deep tournament type of way, but I've just been going with the pitchers against the Brewers of lately, and that's been paying off pretty well. So I think that's going to be the trend I continue with.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Looking at other guys here on the Pirates side, certainly look at Nelson, possible stacking option. Excuse me. And I don't mind, some of those prices as far as McCutcheon goes, Harrison goes, but Marte and Polanco a little bit out of my range here on DraftKings. I think I'm probably going to reserve Pirates for just FanDuel.
I hope you sneezed and like that sneeze went all over Gregory Polanco's price on the screen because that's how I feel about that. So I'm all set with paying $5,400 for him.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you?
I like Josh Bell at 35. Other than that, taking the night off.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think the pricing here is kind of a little bit more intense as far as Pirates pricing. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So, Nationals and Mets next year. Robert Selman versus Tanner Rourke. As far as the National side, I do like them here as kind of a swerve off of some other offenses. And I do like them as kind of a stack, a contrarian stack. I do think there is some upside here against Selman. Obviously, you got to pay for it, but they're going to be low owned, I think, as a full stack in terms of just going up against cores tonight.
Agreed. I think they're pretty intriguing. You certainly like the lefties here. You're not really worried about Selman shutting them down. So projected run total seems a little off to me. I'd if I were setting it, I'd put it at least 4.5 or something like that. But obviously they know something I don't. So I'd certainly be okay with the Nationals here.
Yeah, I definitely would too. In terms of the Mets, though, I don't really like them here tonight. I mean, you can make a case for like Asdrubal Cabrera, who's just red hot right now. Him, I don't mind in the GPP sense, but as far as using other guys here, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Flores. I'm not a big fan of Bruce. Cespedes' price isn't that bad, but it's just more I'm not looking to use Mets on a 11 gamer.
No, yeah, I kind of like the prices a little more on FanDuel, but here it just seems a little like you're pushing it, to
Yeah,
be you're just trying to be contrarian, and it's kind of just costing you some process here.
yeah, I definitely agree. So. Moving on here, you got the White Sox and Twins, Hector Santiago versus James Shields. And once again, I mean, these prices for the Twins are not bad. I mean, getting Miguel Sano, getting Mauer at reasonable prices. I mean, Dozier you'll have to pay up for. Kepler you'd have to get at a mid-price. But I like the Twins here. I mean, especially the lefties against Shields, but even the righties. I mean, Shields has just been bad against both sides of the plate.
Certainly. I like Max Kepler. Hope he moves up in the lineup. If not, Joe Mauer is a decent play. Not afraid to throw in Brian Dozier pretty much any night now. Miguel Sano, even at 37, I don't mind these prices. Definitely like a twin stack. Think you could get some lower ownership than it probably deserves tonight.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And even on the White Sox side, I mean, you look at Hector Santiago, against righties, 1.69 home runs per nine since last year. Abreu 4.7, certainly reasonable. Todd Frazier, 5K. That's a little up there for me. Same thing with Melky Cabrera. I'm not as big of a fan as the White Sox as I was over on FanDuel.
Totally agree. Certainly more expensive here. I think you can still take some chances on Jose Abreu. I don't necessarily like that Todd Frazier price at 5K. I think that's a little too rich for my blood.
Yeah, I think that's out there, especially because I know we're getting to a couple of third basemen here,
right,
in the next few games. So I'm certainly looking at other options than the White Sox.
Right.
So, next game here, you got the Indians and Marlins. Trevor Bauer versus Jose Fernandez. Same thing here. You got the Indians who are priced down because they're facing Fernandez, and we talked about the Indians possibly being a GPP option because we looked at Fernandez on the road has been a little bit more volatile. You brought up a good point about the teams that have tagged him for 5 runs or so, and those were teams with some good left-handed hitters.
Certainly. So yeah, we kind of went through Fernandez's bad starts of late. Reds, Cardinals, and Braves. So it's just kind of like you look at the power lefties in those lineups, and it just kind of makes sense. You definitely worry about the top of this lineup against Fernandez. So I'm not in love with these prices. I don't think we're getting quite enough of a discount, but I do like Kipnis here. I do like Lindor. I think they're fair tournament options.
Yeah, I definitely do too. And on the Marlins side, I mean, I'm not looking to use anyone here. I haven't seen the upside for the Marlins in quite some time outside of Yelich, and Yelich is overpriced at 5.3.
5.3 is tough. I like Yelich, like what he's been doing, but yeah, it's tough.
Yep, definitely agree. Tigers and Royals next here. Yordan Ventura versus Mike Fulmer. I'm not the biggest fan of this game. I mean, you can get some values here, like a Victor Martinez at 3,900, which I don't hate. Hosmer at 3.6, but overall, I don't see a ton of upside in this game in terms of a stacking potential or even as multiple one-offs.
Yeah, I don't really like either offense here. I think Ventura is good enough against righties that we're a little worried about the potential of this Tigers lineup. I think that's reflected in the projected run total. And as far as the Royals go, I don't love Fulmer, but I don't see necessarily the upside of anyone in this lineup here.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it's just one, given the ballpark, given the 2 arms on the hill, that I'm just kind of fading.
Yeah.
Diamondbacks and Rockies next year. I mean, Braden Shipley's in for probably some trouble tonight. I mean, throwing him in this ballpark with what he's done so far. You and I both loving, the high price bats there for Colorado, and they'll certainly pay off. I think Blackman might be my favorite if I'm going that route.
Yeah, Blackman, Cargo, even DJ LeMahieu, David Dahl. I think that front five is all in play. It's too bad we didn't get the, at least the Odubel Herrera price tonight, because obviously you're probably not playing Michael Franco at 2K, but I'd like that 2K price tag to maybe fit a few more of these Rockies bats in. But overall, yeah, kind of tough to manage here.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they are pricey, and you're going to have to dive down at pitching and dive down at other options to kind of get them in. But I do think they, grabbing them as far as one-offs, it'll be worth it, especially a Blackman.
Certainly. And I mean, I know you were a bigger fan of Lamb versus Arenado on FanDuel. What do you think of this here? 500 difference. Is that a big enough gap to sort of shift it, or is it kind of like null and void and I'm just rolling Arenado here?
I think it's still worth a look because I do think in terms of ownership, it's still going to be a difference. I think that's kind of where you're going to be looking at. But in terms of comparing the two, I still like, Arenado, obviously. But yeah, Lamb, not as quite as a big difference in terms of pricing here, but I still think he's a realistic swerve off of him. Because, I mean, we also talked about Justin Turner, who, I mean, that's kind of who I feel like I might make a bigger swerve with just because of the pricing difference.
Right, absolutely.
So. Red Sox and A's next year, Daniel Mengden versus Rick Porcello. As far as the A's, they're all priced down very cheap. I mean, they're cheaper than the Indians who are facing Jose Fernandez, but I'm not looking to use A's here, even at their reduced price.
All set. Good with that. Again, I like Porcello. Usually I like Vot. He might be a tournament guy here at 27, especially with some of the pay-ups you're looking at, but overall, it's not too appealing overall.
No, it's definitely not. And the Red Sox are expensive. They're expensive stack. In terms of one-offs, I mean, I don't know. I guess I like a Hanley. I still like an Ortiz or Betts if I'm going that route. I'm not quite sure I'm going to be paying Pedroia 4.8 or Bogarts at 4.8. I rather go with really the higher consistent upside guys like Betts and Ortiz if I am going to be getting exposure to the Sox.
I totally agree. High-end options here always has tons of potential, but if I'm going with someone here, it's certainly David Ortiz.
Yeah, definitely is. And as far as the back end goes, I mean, I'm not quite looking at guys. I mean, Bradley's struggling. Leon's kind of coming back down to earth. I mean, Moncada's a guy who may or may not be in the lineup, but his price isn't the discount that it was yesterday. So I don't know. In terms of value, there's not a lot here.
No, definitely not a lot of value. It's kind of like you're going all in if you're going with the Sox,
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Angels and Mariners next year, Taijuan Walker versus Tyler Skaggs. I like some of the Mariners' prices here. I mean, Nelson Cruz at 4K is certainly reasonable. Dae-Ho Lee at 3K. I mean, I don't mind those guys, especially if you're kind of paying down. You still want some upside. I don't know, just because we've seen Skaggs be so boom or bust.
Right, absolutely. Skaggs, super boom bust. I still like this lineup as maybe a potential stack, but maybe like 1 in 20 lineups. Especially on tonight, you're going to need a huge, a huge hit if you're stacking one of these, regular. And I say regular lineups because there's regular lineups and then there's like this Coors monstrosity we're currently dealing with. So you're going to have to get quite a bit of production here, but I think it's certainly possible for another blow up for Skaggs.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. And Safeco has actually been pretty friendly for home run powers. So you can't really knock the ballpark with how it's really played this year.
Right.
So in terms of the Angels, I don't mind a couple bats here. I don't mind Pujols and Calhoun, just given that Taijuan Walker is home run prone and at their values, I think you can find some upside. Outside of that, though, if I'm looking to pay up for an outfielder, it's going to be Blackman, it's going to be Cargo, going to be Pollock, it's going to be those types of guys.
Yeah, exactly. So, you just kind of roll with it. I don't know. Meh.
Yeah, no, I know. I know your Angels love is it's we're not using pitchers against them, but you're still not believing the hype.
I believe it enough to not target them anymore, but I just still don't want to deal with it. I like Trout. Obviously, he's good at baseball. Um, Pujols, it's okay. Cole Calhoun, it's okay. And whatever. And that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at them more so in terms of value. I think they're for the price, it's not a bad spot.
Not a bad spot at all.
Padres and Dodgers next year. Rich Hill versus Luis Perdomo. I'm not really looking to use anyone from the Padres, but I do like the Dodgers in terms of what they bring to the table. I mean, Seager is expensive. Gonzalez is a little bit more expensive, but you got guys like Justin Turner at 4.2, Grandal 3.3, even though Reddick struggled 3.1, Peterson 3.4. I like the matchup for the Dodgers, and I was expecting actually their prices to be a bit higher here, which they are a little bit, but for the most part, you got a lot of cheap options you can go with.
The volume or the value in this lineup is certainly more appealing. Reddick and Jock Peterson are certainly certainly guys I'm going to be at least taking a look at. Grandal, probably a cash option for me at 3.3. I like that quite a bit. And Turner, love that price at 4.2. As far as stacking goes, I don't think you want to stack the Reddick Peterson grouping, but if you want to get a Seager in there, Turner Grandal is great value for there.
Yeah, I like that 2 through 5 stack. I mean, I think that's certainly reasonable prices, especially
Yeah,
with Turner. I mean, we've seen Turner kind of priced up of late, but not really here. So it is a good spot for him. I like him quite a bit there if you are paying down at third base.
for sure.
So let's wrap things up with the DraftKings Daily Trot. Be sure to check out DaveFantasyCafe.com for all great tools and content.